from class interaction and my physical, what would be your biases that you would think about?
I probably wouldn't have thought that you were military either. I would have guessed sports, maybe.
I thought you would be knowledgeable.
I would not have expected you to be in the military.
You didn't say anything. I thought you were going to be more standoffish than you are.
When I first saw you, I was like, this guy kind of looks like Chief Keef.
When you see these faces, what do you assume about them? Bias places invisible walls between us and all our interactions. We try and assume people's backgrounds, habits, and personalities without getting to know them. So how can we break down the wall? I'm well, and yourself? My name's Sherelle. I'm actually 35. I turned 35 September 8th this year.
My name is Amari Akua. I'm 21 years old.
21.
My name is Sophie Redmond.
How old are you, Sophie?
I'm 20.
My name's Nadia Brown. I'm 20.
I'm the oldest son of a single mom from Savannah, Georgia. My family is considered Gullah Geechee heritage. I grew up in a predominantly Black community, so mostly everything around me were like people of color. I didn't know that I grew up in poverty until I left. People grew up way worse than me, in worse positions. The hardest thing I experienced would be maybe not having any lights or water for a little while, versus people went years without lights and water.
I'm from Woodstock, Georgia. I was born in Richmond, Virginia, but we moved here when I was 1, so all I know is Georgia. 2 parents that are together still, and we are pretty much middle class. We've always been that. My dad is a journalist. My mom works with company loyalty, so they've always had a pretty steady income. And I've pretty much always, had what I needed and what I wanted.
I grew up in Conyers, Georgia. If you know anything about Conyers, there's a couple different sides. I grew up on the, middle class side. Both of my parents were teachers. My mom ran her own school for a little while, and my dad, he's actually a speaker and an author. But I've pretty much been middle class, my whole life.
I am from Jonesboro, Georgia. Then I moved to Douglasville when I was about 3. Then my parents got divorced when I was 7, then I moved back to Jonesboro. Before my parents divorced, life was great. Me and my sister, we got everything we asked for, but then once the divorce happened, we moved to Jonesboro, where my granny lives, and we moved in with her. We ended up having to share a room with my mom too, so it's 3 of us sleeping in one queen bed. And then sometimes we didn't have food. There were times I was eating straight sugar because I was hungry.
Being in middle class Black, it can be liberating in terms of the options you have in life, and also isolating in terms of who you can relate to, where you can go without being othered.
I think privilege is stability. I think privilege is knowing that you're going to be safe and secure in your life. I think it makes you a little bit blind to what you don't have almost.
I've had the privilege of living in 3 different socioeconomic statuses to where I can say that life is just the same. People want their kids to go to school, people want to eat well, play, have cookouts, whatever the case may be.
I thought I grew up in a fairly diverse area. We're in the South, so I thought it was kind of as good as it was going to get. But definitely coming here, I realized that it's not just to do with race, but also identity and religion and all these different things that I didn't really know existed, which has been nice, but in another way it's a little scary for me because it's so different than what I'm used to. It is hard to not be afraid of people who aren't like me. Even though I enjoy the diversity, it's a little bit scary sometimes. I'm like, we haven't lived the same experiences, and sometimes it's like I don't know if I'll understand you and you'll understand me, you know?
Different and scary.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in the suburbs. Atlanta, I come to the city first time, you know, so many homeless people, so many people grow up in different backgrounds as me. A lot of times, like when I come to a stop in Atlanta, there's always homeless people. I like give out a water bottle or some snacks. And my friend, she said, you know, somebody got stabbed that way, you know, giving out food to the homeless. I'm like, what is the point of saying that? Who do you think would tell you that or push that story? And what do you think they're trying to prevent? Because genuinely, this person here, he doesn't harm anybody. I see him every day when I go to school. He minds his own business. I give him water. He's not going to stab me. I don't think he's going to stab anybody. That's not a realistic thing to happen. But there's so many biases that are built up and like breeded outside of urban centers that just they just grow.
Those experiences have made me more open and understanding to everybody's background. Because everybody's background is different. Nobody's the same. And I'm able to connect with people more because I've experienced a whole bunch of things like other people have. So it's easier to make connections.
If you know how to use respectability politics and use bias, you can use it to benefit you. To this day, it benefits me. Knowing how people are going to have bias towards me. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to approach them to confront that bias. And by me doing that, now I'm in control of how this goes.
I think the biggest thing that I learned just from talking to you last week was that you can't assume about people and what they've been through. And you can just learn so much from somebody that you might not have expected or even thought about.
I believe the best way to progress past bias is to immerse yourself in the culture you were biased against. Bias is easy. Bias is comfortable. It's what you know. It's what you've done your whole life, so why would you stop? It got you this far. Bias is easy. But the hardest part is to unpack that bias and know when you were profiling.
Always think outside the box and look at other perspectives. Because you never know. You could see a totally different angle and stuff. And that can help you in a whole bunch of different things.
I think that for people to really embrace bias is to be honest with themselves. Starts with a certain level of accountability and integrity. Recognizing your privilege or lack of, because lack of privilege also creates bias. So it's not about the privilege or lack of as much as it is about the bias and what yours are, and acknowledging them in yourself and being honest.